Hi, my name is Ali, and for my GES 102 Praxis project, I decided to tackle the intersection of personal consumption and global environmental harm. My project, titled Resisting Environmental Degradation, is a 7-week direct action where I moved beyond just learning about environmental issues to actively resisting the systems that profit from them. My action was twofold. First, I committed a zero consumption rule for 7 weeks, meaning no new non essential goods, no clothes, no tech, no wants. Second, I launched a total boycott of 5 major corporations, which are Amazon, Walmart, Nestle, McDonald's, and Starbucks. This meant even essentials like food or toiletries could not come from these 5 giants. My goal was to see if I could physically detach my life from the most extractive forces in our current economy. So, why does this matter? Environmental degradation isn't just about litter, it's about the systematic deterioration of our planet. These 5 corporations are major contributors. For example, Nestle's a top global plastic polluter, and Amazon's carbon footprint is larger than some entire countries. By boycotting them, I am divesting my personal capital from the Scope 3 emissions that these companies hide in their global supply chains. I chose these 5 targets because they represent different facets of ecological harm. Amazon and Walmart dominate through logistics and waste. Nestle privatizes a human right, water. McDonald's and Starbucks contribute to massive deforestation and a culture of single use disposability. Together, they represent the apex of what we call neo-colonialism, extracting resources from the global south to fuel convenience in the global north. This brings us to the course concept of racial capitalism. In our class, we learned that capital accumulation often relies on the exploitation of racialized environments. We see this when industrial pollution is funneled into marginalized urban communities. My project recognizes that by feeding these corporations, I am indirectly supporting a system where black and brown and Latino communities are exposed to 56% more pollution than they actually consume. We also have to look at neocolonialism. When Nestle bottles water in drought stricken regions, or McDonald's clears rainforests for cattle grazing, they are operating under a colonial mindset of extraction. My boycott is an act of refusal. Refuse, Refusing to participate in a system that views the global south as a mere resource bank for Western consumption. Finally, consumption theory explains why this is so hard. We are on a treadmill of consumption where convenience is marketed as a necessity. Over these 7 weeks, I had to unlearn the impulse to click buy now. I realized that my convenience was actually a tool used to keep me in participating in a system that I theoretically disagree with. To keep myself accountable, I maintained a daily log. As you can see on this side, I tracked every time I successfully avoided a corporate target. For every no to Starbucks or Amazon, there was a yes to a local substitute. This spreadsheet isn't just a list of chores, it's a map of how I redirected my economic power over the last 49 days. This project deeply connected me to my local community. I discovered the local multiplier effect. When I shop at local co-op instead of Walmart, 48% of that money stays in my neighborhood to support local jobs and environment compared to only 14% at a chain. I wasn't just not buying, I was actively investing in local resilience. My method was simple but difficult. Document the friction. I recorded the moments where being ethical was inconvenient, like taking a 30-minute bus ride to an independent bookstore instead of a one-click purchase. This friction is a sign that the system is designed to make sustainability feel like a burden, which is exactly why we must resist it. As you can see in the pictures below, firstly, a successful boycott of Starbucks in favor of an independent local cafe. The cafe that I went to here was called Blank Street. They have a couple different locations in DC. I redirected my economic power back into local community. This is anti-consumption as an act of solidarity, keeping wealth out of neo-colonial corporate hands. Secondly, in the second picture, you saw that I had meal prepped. I have been working on meal prepping for the 7 week period in order to not eat McDonald's or Starbucks, as it also is a money saver. Thirdly, as I mentioned before about the bookstore, I, instead of relying on a one-day shipping models of Amazon or Walmart, which fuel carbon-heavy supply chains and urban pollution, I chose public infrastructure. Here, as you can see in the picture, I chose a metro system. So mass transit is a direct resistance to individualized high-waste logistics systems that define racial capitalism in our cities. The results were tangible. I avoided approximately 2.5 pounds of plastic packaging. I saved money by cutting out impulse wants, and most importantly, I broke the psychological habit of default consumption. I proved to myself that a minimalist, anti consumption lifestyle is possible even within a university setting. This is what praxis looks like. It is the bridge between the syllabus and the street. Learning about environmental injustice is vital, but putting that theory into physical motion, into my grocery list and my bank account, is where the real change happens. This project transformed a classroom themed into a lived reality, and it's taken so much into account based off of viewing the world in this perspective, from a perspective of the environment and the larger picture. And I'll end with my manifesto. I commit to a future where my convenience is never traded for somebody else's environment. I recognize that every dollar is a vote for the kind of world I want to live in. I choose a world of repair over a world of extraction. I choose community over corporate domination. Thank you for listening to my journey through these 7 weeks of resistance. I hope this inspires you to look at your own consumption habits through the lens of praxis. Are there any questions? And if there are, please forward any questions to my UMBC email. I will leave it linked below. Thank you.